Wow. My co-op with Sean has been getting a lot of attention lately.
Hey, Supersonic Word 15, I actually have some material for us to do.
Fucking Christ alive, my goddamn face. Dick! Well, I guess Sean still hasn't found out how to sound like a person yet, and to show you how much worse this is than it actually seems, allow me to put this into perspective by playing this from his first response to Ryan.
The acting wouldn't feel unnatural if Sean put some energy in his vocal cords. Hey Sean, I know what the problem is now, even though I knew this after you gave me the audio. You basically rushed your lines and you gave it to me on the same day. How long were you recording your lines? 30 minutes or less? You know you can take your time with this. It's not a race. I know you got school and all, but dude, that commentary wasn't going anywhere. Just take your time.
So, isn't it kind of fishy that Sean still reads his lines in a way that puts planks of wood to shame, and Sonic Ward is still letting this in the final video?
Is the Alt-CC significant to the community?
All joking aside, I kind of want to shift this towards my own perspective for a bit. Remember when I thought I was wrong on Sonic Ward shifting blame on Sean for the sake of it, only to turn out to be correct because Sonic Ward still let certain mistakes happen in the final product, so he should be held equally accountable? Yeah, thanks for helping me realize that within the first 10 seconds of the video. Quick shoutouts to him and Illinois Guy 34 for, indirectly, making me think something that wasn't even true at all. Though Sonic Ward, I can give you a pass since you at least attempted to hold yourself responsible, but I'm actually dragging this out and I've opened enough cans of worms as is, so let's move on.
For real? What's the material?
It's actually going to be a double feature commentary. The first one we are covering is by Obscurian, aka Blaze of Arcana, and spoilers, in the video he mostly talks about you, and the second video is actually by Awesomeness45, and don't worry, he mostly talks about us, and they commentated on our co-op on Awesomeness45.
Well, okay then. I guess I'll give it a watch then. Wow. Just wow. Sean, I'm glad you came here, and just for that, I will accept the challenge. Let's do it, Sean!
So, co-op?
Yee! Okay, if I can be that guy, the way you introduce the material is gross. It's just, man, am I sucking all kinds of penis. Dude, there's this weeb hell that likes your silky touch and a black man that didn't lube up. It's time for a commentary! Alrighty, Roo, let's man the rubber chickens! Huh. You know, when I word it like that, it's almost like I made introducing the commentary somewhat interesting! Like, holy dicking gaylords, could you have not written a more basic and uninteresting way of providing context? Spice it up, do something! Hell, this is coming from the guy that did the co-op with the past self, or hell, just sound like you give a shit! Please make Mama Doodles proud already!
I'm still here, you know!
Late!
Wait, who is Doodles, and did he just call them Mama?
What did I just say? Actually, before I continue, I want to make note of something. Immediately after your intro card, you point out all the videos done on your original co-op. Now here's a question. Why in the name of Billy from down the street did you all tell us who you're covering in what amounts to 3 occasions, all within the span of a minute and a half? You pointed out that Ryan was one of the people who covered your original co-op, and the funny thing is that he brought up the exact same issue I'm pointing out now. And you even said, clear as day,
I've already did a response video to Ryan stating that I agree with everything he said.
Granted, back then you used up more time, but I would argue it's just as bad now because the repetition is even more noticeable. Well, slap this video's ass and call it the Titanic because this shit's already sinking.
We are actually going to be covering Obscurian's video first because his name is first in the title of our video.
Oh!
And his video actually came out before Awesomeness45's video.
But I'm going to be covering Obscurian's video by myself. Sean and I are going to be covering Awesomeness45 together, so yeah, no confusions.
No, fuck you, I actually have multiple confusions. My confusion dick is bigger than yours. What's with all the innuendos today? So you're covering the bad videos made on your co-op and you wanted to have it be a co-op in turn. So what stopped you from making the whole thing into a co-op? Did you just have more to say than Sean? Was he really not interested in covering it? Did you both have a stroke? And by that I mean you didn't have like a stroke each. I mean, did you have a total of 1 stroke for 2 people? Because, I don't know, horse on snail action is funny. I mean, I know in the intro skit you say that Obscurian mostly talks about Sonic Ward, but that's not really an implication that he would be tackling it alone, now wouldn't it? I know that just because someone's an already established co-op partner, it doesn't automatically mean that we have to have the whole thing be a co-op, and I will absolutely concede that this might be just a me thing, but the fact that it is happening, and I don't even fucking know why, I don't know, it just seems a little off, don't you think?
I would also like to state that Sean and I are not trying to damage control this co-op. We simply saw a bad commentary on it and decided to commentate on it. Here are the degrees for Obscurian's commentary on us first. Now I'm going to be explaining more about Obscurian's video. Sorry for the extra exposition. Hey there, Blaze, or should I call you by your preferred name? Obscurian. Before we begin, I would like to confess something. Once I send a comment in a video, either I'm lying about how good your video is, or I'm just blind by guilt to see how bad it is. And in this case, Blaze, it was both. Sorry if I lied. I don't usually hurt people intentionally, but either way, it was going to happen sooner or later.
I'm sorry, what? Editor, you fat face, give me the definition of lie. Okay, so if I'm interpreting the situation right, you just so happen to not only intentionally spread false info, but unintentionally spread false info. You know what? I think that I'm mad.
Don't worry, man. I saw the description and everything. Let's get started.
Don't worry, Gary, I'm also contemplating everything I do.
Huh. So that's what happens when you mesh Dan Mad's editing with a background. Yeah, I believe you once said you use Vegas Pro 11, but as someone who has used Vegas Pro 11 before, this feels like it's edited out of Movie Maker or a pretty bad editor. I don't know what it is. The text, extremely slow keyframes, the intro just feels extremely awkward to look at, and like, Vegas Pro can handle a lot more. Oh, and top of one of the worst songs you could use, this feels like a failed rough draft what could have been, at best, okay intro.
Are you really criticizing the music I use? 1. That's really subjective. Something that you don't find good but can be good to someone else.
Okay, if I can play devil's advocate, Obscurian states this right after he points out the music complaint.
This feels like a failed rough draft what could have been, at best, okay intro.
Which would imply that if you just edited the intro better, then Obscurian would have likely looked past the music choice since, you know, you would have had a decent intro. And you know what? There's actually more wrong with that point, and I'm honestly surprised he didn't point it out. Obscurian. Yeah, can I get a fucking, idea on why you think this is one of the worst song choices for an intro? You know what? I have 2 hands as far as I'm aware. Let me guide you as well on how you could have further drove the point home. The fact that the intro is slow, there are better instances where you could have made the appropriate cuts so your intro would come off more naturally with the music. Really, it's less that the music choice is bad, and the bigger issue is that it could have complemented the music so much better.
And 2, I might as well tell you why I use this music. I wanted to capitalize the setting of Sean in the past when he used to use this music.
You do realize that telling him why you used the song doesn't negate Obscurian's point about it being bad, right? I could kill a man, but it doesn't matter if I killed him because I thought his camo pants looked fucking stupid and I wanted them. I still fucking killed a man!
I know I don't have camo pants, but can I please not be that man you killed?
Oh, you're so funny!
If it was a point about how bad the intro moves, I would understand.
Which is exactly that.
I don't know what it is. The text, extremely slow keyframes, the intro just feels extremely awkward to look at.
Not only that, but was actually his main point. Hey! Yeah, there's a funny little thing I didn't catch as I was scripting this, so I guess post-Ty is now in the commentary canon. If you want to claim that I'm some sort of ripoff of Ryan and to an extent George Raccoon, then go for it, but you would essentially be saying that I'm ripping them off because I caught something mid-editing. So I'm a winner! So in the description of Sonic Ward and Sean's co-op, it raises awareness that Sean was in fact of the slow-moving pictures complaint, and that Sean meant that it would have been okay if Obscurian talked about that only. First of all, your point in the video was some jank-ass wording if I've ever heard any, and secondly, well, my next interjection actually goes into more detail over how important this can actually be, so yeah, kind of pointless in hindsight to dedicate a post-Ty section if the meat of it is actually coming, but, you know, it's better that I at least raise awareness of the description while I can, so, I'm sorry. Ha, no I'm not.
But why are you complaining about the music? Is it such a big deal?
Actually, you can argue yes, it can be a big deal, because depending on your music, whether or not it's slower than the average commentary intro, it leaves with a thinner tightrope to walk on because you still have to make an interesting intro with it, especially when you consider how most commentary intros have faster-paced songs as their foundations. Now, this is under the assumption that Obscurian meant that your song choice is bad because it's slower, because as I said, there's dicking dick all that supported this claim. But let's say that Obscurian's issues with the music isn't that it's slow. My only other guess is that it's weed music. If that's the case, then everyone did an awful job of conveying their points, because nobody knows what Obscurian meant, and Sonic Ward and Sean didn't try to come up with possibilities, so they decided to pull the subjective card and call it a day. Which, yeah, I can understand, but not only was it a bare-bones argument, but you can even argue that Obscurian was actually stating his own opinion.
He only used it in his skipping card, but I wanted to do something special by putting it as an intro card and keeping it as a skipping card.
Okay, hold on. I already went into how there being a reason doesn't negate it being bad, but what in the actual hell is happening here? You started your point, and then Sean came in and said a thing that had nothing to do with your point, not even supporting it, might I add, and then you finished your point. Why was Sean's point where it was? Why didn't you just stick it at the end of your thought? Also, when you had that text up saying that Sean will assist you with a point, why give him a point that can easily be said by you? Did he come up with it? Well, he could have just credited him and Sean's appearance during the section wouldn't be as jarring. I know it's not the biggest deal in the world, and again, maybe it's just a me thing, but still, if you're gonna establish an unordinary structure, it would help that it, you know, still had some decent structure. God damn it, you blue fucks.
Now about the Sony Vegas thing, you said I used Sony Vegas before because of my words, right? Sure, I have Sony Vegas, but there's just one little problem with that. I said more than that. If you watch my original commentary on Dplex or watch the Turkey's commentary on me, I specifically said I have VideoPad and Sony Vegas. I use VideoPad and Sony Vegas and I have almost 500 subs. And this is why research is good for you! So basically you can make the assumption that I was using VideoPad. Maybe next time you should have looked into my commentary so that you can get the the idea.
Okay, the way you went about arguing this bugs me. Specifically the part where you said maybe you should have looked into your commentaries, which gives me the slight implication that he didn't actually get this info from your commentary as you speculated. Now I have two possibilities, each with their own points. Let's say that he didn't get the idea that you have Sony Vegas from said commentaries. How in Satan's left foot would Obscure to know to look from this info in a random fucking commentary of yours? Or hell, even from another person's channel? If it was like a tweet, or hell, in a commentary about video editors or some shit, I would understand. But this is on the equivalent of saying, well, there was this leopard skin jacket at the soup store, you should've looked harder, you dickhead. And you know what? Even if he did see your video on Dplex or Deturfy's video on you do realize that you saying you have VideoPad and Sony Vegas make you even more in the wrong, right? Going back to Obscurian's point, Vegas has a lot of features to help you make more interesting visuals, and yet you admitting that you have VideoPad on top of Sony Vegas changes what exactly? You have the software, but imply that you didn't even use it for the intro. In fact, why even use VideoPad when you have a much better editor right there? Is there something that VideoPad has that Vegas doesn't? Watch, this is gonna be proven wrong in this fucking reaction video or something.
You also say you used to use Sony Vegas Pro 11. Glad you knew the differences between Sony Vegas and Movie Maker, but just to let you know, dude, if I was using Windows Movie Maker, the editing wouldn't be as decent as VideoPad.
Implying that he implied that you did use Movie Maker? Part of his point was that the intro felt like it came from Movie Maker. In fact, we need to take this into account.
So that's what happens when you mesh Dan Mad's editing with a background.
It further supports that notion, since the with a background part implies that he knows that you couldn't have done this with Movie Maker, since the old bastard can't support image-on-image layering.
Hey guys, Sean S here, and I'm back to making commentaries. So remember when I did a commentary on Alexander? Yeah, that didn't get good reception, but today I'm going to take a look at myself again after a year.
Dude, wait a minute, why are you doing a commentary on yourself after a year ago? That's just pointless.
Hey Sean, remember when you wanted to get this video off your chest, right? Well, you made a good point, but yeah, Awesomeness45, you should have let him finish before you interject.
And also, you're getting on me for doing a commentary on myself, and yet you did the exact same thing back then. That's exactly what Nightmare Catmine called you out on.
Excuse me, Professor, how does hypocrisy make him wrong? I mean, sure, you could be taken less seriously, but how does that make him wrong automatically? Which, from what I'm getting from your point, seems to be what you're trying to do. And other professor that's just here, how does the fact that he wanted to get it off his chest debunk the point that self-commentaries aren't really that good? And I can even bring up the fact that since this video is already covered by people like BZ Astro and Lance, Sean may be bringing up stuff that already could have been said.
Pretty much anyone can debunk Sean's point, but as for me, I wasn't really making a point. Ryan knew I wasn't trying to make a point out of that, even though he had two possibilities.
Actually, no, not really, because why would Gendam refer to your statement as a point?
Now, the second possibility is what they consider the more possible one. That his point was lost in wording, and what he meant was that Sean in his commentary on himself explained that he's commentating on himself for the reason of getting it off his chest.
Whether Sonic Ward is ultimately right or wrong, trust me, I'll get to that in a minute, that still doesn't mean he knew you weren't making a point.
You gotta have more possibilities because you never know if there might be another solution, despite my poor wording.
What?
I was referring to Sean's original commentary on Halo Fan when Halo Fan didn't let him finish his point. Halo Fan always jumps the gun and never seemed to just stop and listen. Can't wait to commentate on him next.
Okay, let's look at your text. You say you were actually correct on the getting it off your chest argument? Well, wouldn't that mean that the getting it off your chest thing was actually a point? Because arguments and points are pretty goddamn synonymous? And if that's not what you meant, you also said that Halo Fan should have let Sean finish before he interjected, which also kind of sounds like a point. And let's say that you really and truly weren't making a point. Why does it matter? Obscurian obviously took issue with what you said. If it's a problem worth pointing out, then it's a problem worth pointing out. Except that in this case, it really wasn't, because there's yet another way you could have debunked Obscurian, and yet again, I'm surprised you didn't point this out, because your text was so close to it. He said that doing a self-commentary for the sake of getting it off Sean's chest doesn't debunk how Halo Fan said self-commentaries are not that good, when Halo Fan never even said they were not that good, just pointless.
Dude, wait a minute, why are you doing a commentary on yourself after a year ago? That's just pointless.
Which, yes, the misinterpretation of Halo Fan's wording is important, since Obscurian's examples of people that covered Sean's video don't actually mean shit in the grand scheme of things, because Sean could very well bring up points that BZ Oscuro and Lance did not, at least when going by with what you're saying. Now granted, Sonic Ward and Sean didn't do a good job covering Halo Fan's points, but Gandam the Twat and his kikey mother already went into that, so I'd rather just link the specific point in the description, just in case you viewers really want to be caught up to speed.
The next time, find a different avatar to choose. Oh my god, that Sean Con is not a good idea to use one avatar at all. In the background, no. Just no.
Alright, Sean, since you didn't have nothing to say on his final thoughts in your earlier video, I'll do it. Awesomeness45, can you explain why his avatar is so bad and his background is just no? Because seriously, how can you help him out in the future if you're just going to say everything is bad? Examples? Use them!
Okay, I do agree with you to a certain extent. Halo Fan should explain how everything was bad, but Ward actually debunked Halo like an idiot. Just saying
examples
doesn't debunk a whole lot. You could have given a few short examples of maybe what he could say, like how his drawings are a tad bit rushed or how the music overpowered Sean's voice. But no, you don't. You just continue on without giving any examples of what he could say.
That's fair. Maybe I could have helped him out, but why would I have to? He's the presenter. I shouldn't be doing everything for him, especially if it's as clear as day that I even said, why didn't you explain? Is there more to say?
No, that's wrong! While that is great that you think Halo fans should have provided the content, and that is a burden for you to do it for him, but you know what? Saying that also fucks you over! Let me use myself as an example. In my video on that 7th Bloody Dragon, I went on about how Dragon didn't provide any substance to his claim about how Mr. Enter was using autism to justify his mistakes. And I made the point of, why am I doing the work when Dragon could have? But you know what the big difference is between you and I actually gave the context. Well, looking back, it was a little weird that I went on about how I shouldn't do the work for Dragon while actually doing the work for Dragon, but I was still proving that he could have brought that to the table, since him not doing so made it look like he was a lazy, lying hell. But that wasn't the only reason why I looked for those examples. No. The other reason, and one that I forgot to mention in that video, but shut up, was that I knew by watching my commentary, my viewers would also be watching Dragon's commentary. You see, even if I called him out on him not showing proof, my viewers would still be lost because the proof still wouldn't even be there. This is the point I'm trying to make. You can call out people for not providing examples, further elaborating some points, you know, all that jazz. But when you refuse to do that yourself, your viewers would be just as lost as they would be when watching Halo fans' video. In fact, your justification of, well, he's the presenter, he should have to provide examples, so I shouldn't, is actually pretty fucking ironic, because according to your statement, that also means that you are a presenter, so you should be providing the content as well. By doing commentaries on commentaries, there is no the presenter. You're all presenters. I'm a presenter. So you want to preach about how the presenters should do their jobs? How about you speak for yourself?
I pretty much summed everything up, but just like you said before, maybe I could have helped him out a bit.
Oh, okay. Let's just immediately take back the point you just fucking made. Suck a truck and then fuck that very same truck. Damn, Post-Ty, back at it again with the shit you could have checked in your script, you stubby fuckmouth. I want to knock this out of the park right now, just in case I end up getting a comment or two about it. If you want to argue that Sonic Ward taking back his point meant that my last interjection was unneeded, forget about it. Because not only does that not mean anything I said was inherently wrong, but you can also make the argument that him not doing so made him look even worse because he couldn't have structured that point to save his dick. So checkmate, atheists!
Even if your video is better than Halo fans' video, don't worry, I'll be calling him by his current name in a minute. But this video has some cracks in there. You're saying that the music I chose for the intro is bad, not knowing it's subjective. Tried to debunk a point, but a point was never stated. The point about the audio balancing that I skipped over was something I do agree with. And last but not least, make sure you do some more research before tackling my co-op video. I'm not saying the research you did wasn't good. In fact, you really put some effort into your video, and I like that. But maybe you could have did, you know, a little bit more research just to nail some of those other points better.
Yet again, this might be just a me thing, but if your final thoughts is only going to consist of you repeating the same issues that you already brought up, then at that point you might as well not even have final thoughts. Let me put it like this. You know how recapping and countdowns is a sin because of pointless filler? Yeah. Now their portion on Halo Fan has less bad points than their portion on Obscurian, but there's a handful of issues I still need to bring up.
Anyways, guys, I'm gonna be skipping this intro skit because this intro skit goes on for way too long. So, yeah.
Awesomeness45, what was the point of saying that you're gonna skip if you only skipped a tiny bit, and then you decide to skip until the intro card starts? You could have said that you were skipping a little bit, or you could have done this.
Cool, but the problems with that are, 1. Skipping is more beneficial to removing as much fluff from a commentary as possible. 2. If the content in question doesn't matter to the overall commentary, then why even play it at all? And 3. Even if it does matter, speeding it up like this would only make it harder for the viewers to understand what is even happening.
See? That is much better, and it would make the video feel much more quick.
Oh, so that segment or whatever that you did, it's way too long, and it comes to the point where I literally want to commit suicide.
I guess it's time to show your true feelings about the transition.
I do gotta admit, that way is a cool transition effect. That is really awesome. I gotta give credit whoever made that transition effect. That transition effect is awesome. By the way, that transition effect needs more Sound Guy 22 too.
And before you say, this was a joke video, there's another response video stated that you actually liked our commentary.
So overall, you two guys did a good commentary.
You never once said that our transitions was too slow. You haven't critiqued us one bit. Okay, except for that one part where you actually said that our, skit was too slow. But, that was just a nitpick though.
Alright, let me just check the clock here and, Oh, would you look at that? It's half past. I'm so fucking mad! First of all, I love how you don't show the dates on either of Halo Fan's other 2 videos on you. So not only would I not know which video came before which, I wouldn't even tell if the first clip you showed was even a joke video with what little context you provided. And that's not even getting into what video he does or doesn't stand by anymore. What also doesn't help is that the Awesomeness45 channel has since been deleted, and I can't find mirrors or any information anywhere about these videos. Now you would think that this isn't Sonic Ward's fault, but it actually makes it even worse since now I can't check. And even if the Awesomeness45 channel was still up, that still brings the issue that I would have to check to see not only which videos were uploaded when, but also if the first clip was even a joke video. Hey Sonic Ward, you're the presenter, so you provide my sweet context. Second of all, even with the clips you show us, I still don't get the impression on how Halo Fan truly feels about your transition. In the video you're covering, he was going on about how your transition was too long, and in your first example, he was going on about how much he likes the background effect. I'm pretty sure you can like the effect itself, but not how long it lasts, man! Which brings me to third of all. Why is your second clip even there? All it said was that he liked your commentary. It had nothing to do with your transition. Unless there actually was something there about your transition, but again, you don't show any context about that part, and now I can't check to see if it holds any legitimacy. Fourth of all, I love that last bit.
You haven't critiqued us one bit! Okay, except for that one part where you actually said that our, skit was too slow, but, that was just a nitpick, though.
The sweet implications! Such as implying that nitpicks are automatically wrong or even worthless, implying that his critique nullified your previous statement about how he hasn't critiqued you at all, and my favorite, not implying that the video you're covering only just now started! And fucking fifth of all. I know I skipped this part, but let's go back to just before you both commentate on Halo Fan's video.
Well, Awesomeness45 actually unlisted and disowned the video. Why? Well, it's because I sent a comment telling him what my problems with the video was. It's a good thing me and Sonic Ward actually downloaded the video.
I really hope I'm not reading this right, because if I am, then this means that you're using videos that we don't know if they mean anything to show someone how truly feels about a fucking transition effect against a video that he fucking disowned. Didn't it cross either of your minds that all this comes off as you making this commentary just to make this fucking commentary? You don't really get into why you're covering a video he disowned, and even if you did, that doesn't change the fact that this is still a really idiotic and kind of a scumfuck tactic overall, don't you think? Don't get me wrong, you can cover disowned videos as long as you have more significant points to make and or make it entertaining. But what Sonic Ward here is doing is essentially trying to expose Halo Fan for shit that nobody fucking knows is actually true. Again, I really and truly hope you didn't intend for this to happen, and if you didn't, I'll go easier on you. But when you look like you're crossing a line in one of the fuckest ways I've ever covered in a commentary, only trailing behind the likes of Zenith's obvious harassment towards the people that covered Kablam Bandicoot 64, and Conqueror fucking 9 telling Kai not to throw a bitch fit because she's being put under blast, you better know this shit is absolutely fucked.
This intro music doesn't seem fitting. Hold on, let me fix that.
No.
Now that is so much better. But although I still gotta complain about it still. The reason I did that because your music was just a big crap. Your pictures that you show is going by slowly. And same goes with text and transition effects. It goes by a bit slow. Can you please fix that next time?
First, the intro music was supposed to sync in with the intro card. I was going for that type of style.
Yeah, implying that he was even alluding to that, but hey, remember this?
I would also like to state that Sean and I are not trying to damage control this co-op. We simply saw a bad commentary on it and decided to commentate on it.
Right, so when am I supposed to be convinced?
Yeah. Why are you playing music in the background? You do realize that some of the context will be lost, right?
First of all, that's not even the background. That's right in our goddamn faces. Secondly, because fixing it would be too hard. Fine, I'll do it. Actually, you know what? Nah, fuck this. I tried to muster through the rest of the video, and everything else I got were either decent points, them repeating themselves, or points that would only have me repeating myself. Oh, and also, the most confusing fucking outro to a commentary I've ever seen! First of all, Sonic Ward puts on this really sad persona.
Yeah! You just wasted my time!
This comes from the magical place of Fuck All Land. I'm being serious. You can check the original goddamn video and see for yourself. This is piggybacking off a one-liner in a somewhat irritated tone. If that was intended, then that is some fucking mood whiplash if I've ever seen any. Then, then, when his final thoughts are done, Sean has a line. Now, despite the acting being reminiscent to a bad anime dub actor on Melatonin, what would your first instinct be if your friend is a sad? You try to confront them, right?
I can say other things that Supersonic Ward didn't really bring up, but he basically brought up every problem, so I'm going to have my final thoughts be associated with Supersonic Ward's final thoughts.
As if Sonic Ward wasn't even fucking sad at all. And then, Sonic Ward is getting his shit together, that's good. Hopefully Sean only supports him then, right?
I hope to God that this video is much better. Anyways, so this is Sean S, and I'm signing out, and I'm not really sure which video I should release next.
He just fucks off! Oh! And then, he does the goddamn—
Anyway, this is Supersonic War 15 saying, keep running.
Don't tell me what the fuck to do! I can sit on my ass all I fucking like! So yeah, this video wasn't that good. I would have final thoughts, but everything I wanted to say was already said. I know I got pretty heckin' mad in this video, but it makes things that much more interesting. Alright, I'm done. I'm fucking done! I'm gonna go back to looking at Hanukkah pictures and contemplating why the fuck I do things in the first place. And before anyone asks, you're not gonna get a continuation to the mess of a story arc I tried to do. You expect me to be a funny man every second? Comedy is fucking hard, so how about you fucks?
Oh, looks like my mail's here. Let's see. Bill.
Wow, using Brian's intro skit?
Hey, I've got mail. Bills, magazine.
You must be a Bob Kiss Up. I bet YouTube dude's having a midlife crisis right now. Thanks, asshole. You're killing the Drew Man group.
Hey, you ever heard of Games Grabber?
I'm gonna stop you right there and skip the rest of this one because 1, it's full of cringe, and 2, it's a stupid plug that should have been saved for the end. Now, you may argue that people won't see it if it's at the end, but the fans of yours that would actually take part in your Games Grabber are probably the ones that actually stick around till the end of the video anyway.
Okay, 1, wouldn't it being quote-unquote cringe be the idea he was going for since he's ever so close to the camera, face pressed against the amiibo while selling out to us? Ooh. Now, I'm not saying you have to find it funny. In fact, sir, please, I like 20 restraining orders, but the point of it being cringe is more of a no shit point. Secondly, what, it's suddenly against the law where you have to place your fucking sponsorship reminder? I get that you try to explain your case by using the fans as an example, but what if those fans themselves still know shit all about the program he's trying to advertise? What if those fans don't even watch till the end of his videos and are just there for the show? What if placing it right at the beginning of his videos is the entire fucking point to get more people to consider using it? My point is that there are too many hypotheticals to go into to dictate where you place aspects of their video. Legit, people that try to make little rule books for how to make videos can eat an entire roll of duct tape.
Holy cow, that face is terrifying. That's not a good sign for this video, is it?
Shadow, honey, it was a joke. Nor does it really dictate how good the overall video is gonna be. Also, you said you were gonna skip this portion, but you didn't, dude. What the heck? I thought we had something adequate, I guess. I don't know.
Nathaniel Bandy. Striving for originality.
Okay, I'll be honest, I really hate when people have taglines that state stuff like this. It just sets a bar for your videos that can actually hurt it, as when people come to your videos and see striving for originality, they start to expect something really original. However, despite what you may think, you cannot live up to that, as there's bound to be tons of others that do similar videos, talk about the same subject, dislike certain enemies for the exact same reason, etc.
Strive, verb, definition, to make great efforts to achieve or obtain something. Implying that NB doesn't have originality to begin with. My point is, how can people expect something that NB himself says that he doesn't have? It's almost like he knew this and made it into a half slogan, half joke out of it. It's right there in your face and it flew way over your head. How did you fucking—
There's a lot of different enemies in Super Mario 64, and some of them are just flat out annoying. Now, we won't be counting bosses, just the guys that have to be faced when playing normally.
Only the guys you have to face when playing the game normally? So what you're saying is that progressing through the game and fighting bosses isn't normal.
No, shut up, that's not what he meant and you know it. While yes, you are correct in a sense, bosses are faced in normal gameplay, and yes, NB could have worded himself a little better, his point is that bosses don't count for his list because they're, well, bosses. Meaning the point of the video is to go over the normal moves. All you're doing is taking what he's saying at face value and letting that be the end-all be-all without even thinking what he could have meant. Try again.
So these guys have faces and will generally fly around in some sort of circular pattern. What makes them annoying is that if you touch one of these amps, you'll get stopped in place and zapped for a good second or so. It doesn't take that much health, but trying to run through a level only to get stopped by an amp just makes me angrily sigh and shake my head. I feel like I've been violated. I mean, Mario is just minding his own business, going for a stroll, yipping and yahooing, and out of nowhere he gets electrocuted. Mario knows amps are invincible. He wasn't even trying to hurt him. What a bunch of jerks.
Amps follow a set pattern, which you stated earlier. Therefore, it would be completely Mario's or the player's fault that you got hurt, considering amps don't actually come after you. Meaning, well, get good.
Well, it's true they follow a set path. You gotta understand that NB also finds it annoying when he actually gets hit by one, as the hit stun is fucking ridiculous. What you also gotta understand is that later in the video, he explains he's a speedrunner as well, meaning that these amps practically force you to tread your ground, and the consequences for getting hit are fucking appalling. For casual play, getting hit is fine. Or as fine as getting hit can be, but getting hit in a speedrun is one of the most frustrating things. Also, depending on things like camera angles and positioning, getting hit by amps could actually be easier than you make it out to be with your herp derp simple pattern means easy way of dodging it. Plus, it's only number 10 on his list, and while he doesn't directly give a reason why that's the case, maybe the circular pattern is why it's even at the bottom of the list, and it's going by what happens when you do get hit. I know so far, and potentially later, I'm giving a ton of hypotheticals here, but you see where I'm coming from, right? One last thing about the whole doesn't even come after you bit, you do realize that going in a circle does mean that it's going to come after you at some point, right? Just saying, what comes around goes around. You are aware of that, right?
You know how almost every game has bats in it? Yeah, I learned that from James Rolfe because he knows everything.
This reference to AVGN is unneeded. It just comes out of nowhere and really adds nothing. It just references someone else as a cheap way to intro into your segment without coming up with something original.
Oh my god. Don't tell me you're one of those people that think that references not necessarily being needed means that they should be kept out of the video by default, right? Okay, let me pick apart your interjection bit by bit. Coming out of nowhere? Dude, he said that bats are in every game and then tied it back to James Rolfe. If it came out of nowhere, there wouldn't have been anything connecting the statement to the name drop. It seemed fine to me. Really adds nothing? While that is somewhat true in hindsight, he made a joke following the name drop, meaning the purpose of it was entertainment, meaning that it did have something to add to the video. Not being original? Gee, it's almost like calling back to something isn't anything new in the slightest. Also, did you not remember his catchphrase at the beginning? Now it seems to hold more value than you let it out to be.
So, Klepto's main purpose is that he's holding a star and you have to knock it out of his hands. So that in particular is manageable, but once you start getting stars that don't involve Klepto, this bird will become a problem. He'll dive down and try to either attack you or steal your hat. Yeah, that's right. Klepto is a freaking thief, and a good one if you aren't paying attention.
Klepto being a good thief should be pretty obvious from the name, because it's based on kleptomania, which means urges to hoard objects and valuables. Also, not paying attention is the key here, as Klepto sticks to his one area of the map, and it doesn't take that long to get through that area and on to the next. That being the case, it's really your own fault for losing your hat.
Here's the thing though, his footage shows instances of him getting stuck in the sand, meaning that it doesn't always take a short amount of time to clear that specific area, and it also means that Klepto does get more time to slide right into those DMs and fuck you. Also, just because it's confined to one section, that doesn't mean that problems that come with the enemy aren't there in general.
If Klepto happens to steal your hat, you have to get it back yourself. The game ain't gonna give your hat back to you, you gotta get it yourself. Like, what a jerk! Why does he want my hat so badly? I guess it's revenge for stealing the star, but still, a hat isn't as valuable as a star.
It's revenge. It doesn't matter how valuable it is, as long as stealing the hat gets back at Mario.
That's fan-fucking-tastic. That doesn't mean it's not a nuisance regardless.
Well, in Mario's case, it kind of is since he takes more damage without his hat on, but that's besides the point.
First, nitpick. It's beside the point, not besides the point.
You know what? You're right. That beside the point thing was a nitpick. And you got on his case for unnecessary points.
Second, no it's not. Like you admitted yourself, taking more damage without the hat is a big deal, meaning that Klepto has a very good reason for stealing that hat. You debunked your own point, then tried to gloss over that fact by saying it doesn't matter.
Well, it's true that he was inconsistent with his overall point. The fact of the matter still stands. Confronting Klepto sucks cocks. And he used the idea of taking more damage to kind of drag away from the idea of revenge, and more so to explain the detriments that come about losing your hat.
I actually didn't know you could kill these guys until like 2 years ago when I started speedrunning this game. Yes, I do speedrun this game casually. You can watch my runs on my Twitch page.
Needless plug that distracts from the video.
Anyway, shameless plug out of the way.
Admitted to the plug. GG no read.
So cutting in to tell him that it was a shameless plug, only to have him say itself it was shameless, then cut in again to make what's arguably a needless point totally warrants you being here, right? Also, bro, it was a joke. No more, no less.
So look, for my top 10 coolest Mario enemies list, I put the bully on it, spoiler alert. Now just because I called him cool doesn't mean he also can't be annoying at the same time.
Duh, you have to point this out at all? I mean, nothing has to only ever be in one category exclusively.
Playing devil's advocate, again, what if he said that to clear up the possible confusion that his fans might have for placing the boys on two separate lists that, in hindsight, aren't related? I mean, you use his fanbase to try to explain where he should place his Games Grabber promotion, so what's stopping me from doing this as well?
In Bowser in the Fire Sea, there's a couple bullies there that are so obnoxious because you'll be climbing up a steep platform or something and they're just standing at the edge waiting to push you back down. They're so mean-spirited for no good reason.
No good reason? You seem to be forgetting one crucial detail. Mainly they're Bowser's minions and it's their job to kill you.
Chalk this up to a nitpick if you will, but why did you let a good chunk of this segment play out only to debunk part of what showed? Mind you, what I skipped was him describing what they do and how it's annoying, but apparently that stopped him from also skipping it. As for the point itself, allow me to reiterate that it doesn't mean it's not annoying to deal with.
It's the Montiest of the Monts. Monty moles are little gophers with one buck tooth that throw rocks at Mario. Real nice, huh? Now what really makes these brats annoying is how—
Brats? You mean a child, typically a badly behaved one? I don't know about you, but those don't look like children.
As opposed to being a bratwurst sausage? Okay, but seriously, what about them doesn't make them look like children? Y'all wanna explain that much to us, or are you gonna leave us in the dark? In fact, why cut him off mid-statement to go out of your way to define brat and make an entirely subjective point that does fuck all to add to the video?
That would just be a straight up nightmare fuel, and nobody needs that in their life.
Nathaniel? You got some irrational fears of wrenches or something? Because I'm pretty sure throwing wrenches is only marginally worse than rocks. I don't think anyone would describe it as nightmare fuel.
Someone hasn't seen Final Destination 5.
Like you make bones black and blue.
Random singing? Seriously, I'm confused by this.
Now this guy—
And straight into the entry like the singing never even happened. Wonderful.
Shadow, it was another joke! Come on, man!
The biggest disgrace is that this guy is also in TikTok Clock.
Disgrace? How is that a disgrace? I'm not saying you're wrong, I just like an explanation. You do mention that you're likely to die from him because of the lack of ground to land on, but that doesn't really equal a disgrace.
You literally just explained why it was a disgrace! And the reason I'm even using the word is because— oh god, here we go again. What if he really liked TikTok Clock to begin with, but those guys are a killjoy? Maybe the use of the word could have been better, but it still means that it's shit!
Which is one of the hardest worlds in this game. If heave throw—
GG no read. No, seriously, that must have been your thought process, as you could have done a retake, but you didn't. Heck, you could have at least acknowledged it with something on screen pointing out you misspoke.
He meant to say heave-ho. You knew he meant to say heave-ho. Sure, it doesn't really excuse the lack of anything to fix it, but pointing out a tiny flaw of his speech, especially when you know what he meant, is nitpicky at best and a rather underwhelming point.
Even worse is that this robot has a small grin on his face the whole time. He's just like, I'm the best, yep, he look, it's Mario. So let's just throw that there we go. So much fun.
Waluigi laugh. Why exactly?
Oh my fucking god! I've been trying my best to skip the instance where he's all like, you fucking what? That no funny? But now it's actually getting on my nerves. Seriously, not even an audio duct? You're just gonna cut away every time he makes a joke and point out how you don't think it's funny? I know I'm repeating myself here, but the amount of times he pulls that shit is annoying, and it shows his lack of coming up with decent points and his lack of skipping. Hell, you even shown that you're capable to skip, so what's the fucking point? Seriously, dude? You don't need to cut away at every instance to point out something.
Oh god, now we're getting into the really bothersome territory. This is Snuff It. You might think by the name that he's just trying to sniff you into his body or something. And, okay, I'm not gonna lie, that actually sounds pretty terrifying, but instead he spits out in succession 3 black balls, and they can honestly be very difficult to avoid. The velocity of these balls is just ridiculous.
Velocity? I think only the speed really matters, not the direction they're going, because that'd obviously be towards you/Mario, so it only really matters how fast they're going.
But if the balls are still going towards you, shouldn't that still matter anyway? Do me a favor and get yourself caught in a situation where a truck is about to hit you, but you can only go in the same direction it's going to try to outrun it. See how that works out for you.
I get hit by them all the time. The thing is that there's not much of a cue when Snuffit is going to spit these balls out. He kind of puffs up a little bit before, but it's not much of a warning.
Did you really just do the exact same thing as earlier? You said one thing, debunked it yourself, then excused it like that debunk doesn't matter.
Not much. Not much, as in not completely. He didn't say not at all, he said not much. Not much. Not much.
Then there's the ones that shoot fire. Oh my god, man. Their little fireballs not only auto-aim, but they're incredibly fast. Not quite as fast as Snuffit's balls.
He said Sniffit's balls.
Actually, he said Snuffit's balls. You couldn't have done a retake? Not even pointing out that you said the incorrect thing? Yeah, see how much your own point fucks you?
Holy cow, I'm a child. Wait. I didn't make this joke in the last entry! Dang it!
I love how you get on his case for making jokes that don't mean shit and are cringeworthy, yet you make a joke that elementary students would laugh at. Double standards are fucking phenomenal!
It's the balls that you can't kill that shoot fire, that's all you need to know. These guys have to be the worst enemies ever created.
Wow, hyperbole much. Did you forget that this is an annoying enemy list and not a worst list? Because they're not the worst. Heck, you could even make a case that they aren't enemies at all, but instead just hazards or obstacles.
Oh, I agree with you on the idea of annoying and worst being two different things. Instead, what I'll do is tackle your second point. Can't you say that enemies do qualify as obstacles and hazardous? Since obstacle means something that hinders your progress and hazardous means something that is dangerous? Both of which can be good descriptors for enemies?
Some of you may not count this as an enemy, but I do because it's a small obstacle that's trying to hurt you, just like everyone else on this list.
Counter-argument, the current enemies don't actually show signs of life, and could easily just be a trap set up that detects Mario and shoots fire at him. I mean, by your logic, these swinging blades in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess are also enemies.
Now, I did skip an important portion of this video because I wanted to save it for here.
Now, these flame chomps don't look like the usual ones with the faces and fireballs and stuff. However, from my research, this was the only name I could find for them.
Wait, you did do research? Well, obviously not very well, because it took me all of 5 minutes to find out they're actually called Kurameme, or Blackbeam. Honestly, I don't know how you couldn't figure this out, because if you go to the page for Fire Chomp on both of the Mario wikis, it states that they replaced the Kurameme.
So you did research to prove how Kuramemes and flame chomps are different, huh? Well, you know what I did? I used 5 minutes of my own time to check both the wikis to find out that they are classified as enemies. So, what? You're gonna go to such lengths to try to prove how both enemies are different, yet you're not gonna do the same thing to try to distinguish your bullshit comparison of enemies and actual obstacles? I can sorta see where you're coming from, but the problem here is that you're willing to research one field while leaving another out in the dust.
He's a pain in the hiney, and like I said earlier, you can't kill this freaking thing. So maybe you'll enjoy my top 10 coolest Mario enemies list if you like this one, and maybe even my top 10 of the most annoying Mario characters. Feel free to give this video a like, that'd be pretty cool, and hop on the video wagon and follow my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr!
See, right here, this is a perfect spot to actually put your Games Grabber plug. I mean, you plug all your other sites here anyway.
Says what, the patriarchy? I mean, maybe you could have placed it at the end, but again, there's the fuck all to explain why you automatically should.
Hey TP, I finally made a commentary. Am I relevant yet?
Not yet. You still need to pay the $7 entry fee.
Oh, him. Okay, I'm skipping the rest of the video since there's really not much I can bother adding. So, final thoughts. Dude, you have potential. I can definitely see that in you since it is your first commentary, and you could have done worse, but this could have been so much better. The best advice I can give you is to think more about what you're covering and how you should cover it, since most of what I saw here were double standards and nitpicks up the ass. I can definitely see why you went after this video in particular, but you have a lot of tinkering to do. Look over your script several times to see what fits and what doesn't. Hell, ask around. You got TP to cameo for you. You could ask most of the CC for advice, surely. But as it is, if you wish to continue commentaries, it's gonna be an uphill battle. But I think you got what it takes. Just don't do this again.